Good afternoon, this is Neil with Simpler Futures. It's Monday, May the 1st. Welcome to May, Cinco de Mayo, Friday, and the Kentucky Derby, Saturday. But before we get there, we have to get through two more things, and that is one Wednesday, FOMC, with the first of what is six remaining meetings this year, and very much anticipated a quarter point uptick on the rate, overnight Fed funds rate. And then Thursday, Apple earnings. So, off to a really slow start today, and it makes sense. Today, May 1st, was May Day or Spring Day in Europe. So the European markets were closed last night, or today. Last night is our hour today is anyway. And really not much was going on even in the Asian market. I think Japan was the only major market that was open in Asia. So we came into today with very low overnight volume, less than 100,000 contracts traded, on incredibly tight range, 15 points. Both of those numbers are about half of average, and so twice that volume and twice that range is normal. And then proceeded to do almost nothing today in terms of range or, certainly no euphemistic, trade or anything like that. Did go and make a high, though, at the target that we've been looking for and waiting for and targeting and talking about and finally did that, and that was about 0.4 in the ES futures. Now, I'll say this. Given everything I just told you, and the expected move for the week as priced in, at least, the SPX options chain for the rest of the week is plus or minus 60, and that's not much. But when we're used to dealing with 50-point ranges daily, then 60 for the rest of the week is certainly not much. But remember, we've spent since April the 3rd in a 100-point range from 4,100 to 4,200 in the ES. It's only last week did we break a little bit lower, not much, and then today that we're a little bit higher, not much. So really largely here we are, same as it ever was. We've made that one little bullish target. All right, so if there is more to the and I'd be a fool to say, oh yeah, we're definitely going higher, or definitely that's it, we're going lower, because one, the structure today I'm going to point to in just a minute as neutral. It didn't do anything. It traded through the top of the initial bounce and then through the bottom of the initial bounce and then came right back into the middle of the initial bounce, which is called neutral. If you go through one side or the other, that's a different name. If you go through both sides and come back in, that's neutral. That's what this is, neutral. What does that mean? It means we tried higher, little expensive. Tried lower, a little cheap. Came back in the middle, yeah, we're happy. And that means we really didn't do anything. So if it continues up, I don't know, probably Wednesday, honestly. It's reasonably, I can imagine it's done enough for now, but, if up again, then the next target up would be 41.22. However, it's awfully neutral today to make me think that it's sitting on some launch pad to really immediately, trade higher. So let's go look at it from a little bit different perspective. This is what I mean, the initial bounce. It's in the yellow here, right? So it tried through the top, then came down and pierced through the bottom, and then came right back up into the middle. That dash mark right there is the mid of the first 60 minutes of the initial balance. So here's a little bit different kind of a view perspective, and that is that last week's balance was here at, call it 55. Well, so is balance all the way back to April 3rd to present is the same. So today finished balance up here at call it 89, which is, okay, it's a little higher than last week's and a little higher than last Friday's. However, I got to be really mindful of the fact that it just reached up here and to me just touched off on a pretty important price that was to reconcile with the February the 16th high is what it just went and touched off on today. So what I'm kind of thinking here is tomorrow, a little turnaround Tuesday action, and it pulls back and touches off on last week's balance point of control, which is balance overall. It's much bigger than just last week's balance. That's balance going all the way back to the beginning of April. So, that's basically the biggest main over-under price in the whole region right here. And then we get to see kind of what's what from there and go into the Fed announcement on Wednesday. And the market already priced in what it thinks is going on there because it's like 94%, I think, priced that it's a quarter point uptick. So that's pretty well priced in. If it was 50-50, there could be room for surprise. 94%, it's pretty much like, that's what the market's looking for. So, and then, Thursday is Apple earnings. The VIX, though, is super cheap and low, down at like 16. It tells me, to kind of get ready for some fireworks. Awfully low on the volatility, awfully low. We hit the target. I'm trying to think of ways to say, like, I'm anticipating a retracement now, but without saying it's definitely going to retrace, because certainly, you need some evidence of that, and I don't have it yet. But, it's a little long in the tooth. The air is getting thin up here, if you know what I mean, right? So that's what I got. Look, here's the deal. If it does start to break, I think a price that is going to tell us that it's really it's set up for some serious pullback would be to come back below this price that was so important to overtake on the uptick. So that's 41.35. So to come back in and tonight and test like 71, that's nothing. That's no big deal. That was my bearish target for the day. It just never traded. That'd be nothing. Then tomorrow to come back and test 54 or something like that, that's still nothing. That's just coming back to balance from last week and everything else balance that we've discussed. That's still nothing. But now where it can start to get real is come back and press this 41.35 level. Write down at least know the levels, right? At least know, so you kind of have a roadmap of what matters. Back below that, and it gets real. Then it gets real. And then you're talking about quick and in a hurry, like making this gap down here at 40.85. That's still nothing, by the way, because the real level to come back there and test is actually 40.24. So all these numbers matter. 40.24 is balance down there, just like 41.53 and 4 is up top. 40.24 is the level to come back and really seek out, right? But you got to get through a meaningless 71 to tag a relatively meaningless 54 to tag a can be meaningful 35. Breach that, it gets real, and it's 4085 gap, and then it's 4024 is the big level to test down there. But hey, right now it's not doing anything of the sort. Right now it's holding balance of today after having just met finally our bullish target. And I can only tell you that if it keeps going, I would target 41.22. And if it hangs out here and starts to roll and look like it's puking, then you got the levels to pay attention to on the downside. Best I got for you tonight on a Monday, very boring Monday at that, in front of what promises to have a catalyst, at least, for a reason for price to actually really move this week. And that's twofold, and that's Fed Wednesday and Apple Thursday. But we're not there yet, so let's get there one day at a time, I guess. Till then, take care. Good trading.
Without simpler trading, I could not have financial independence. This is one of the best investments I ever made in my life.
It's helping me find consistency.
It's one of the things that won me